There's absolutely no logical reason why the NHL and the best hockey players on earth have not had a true best on best tournament for a decade, since the 2014 Olympics. Sure, there was the 2016 World Cup of Hockey, which was fine, but had that weird team of under 24 North America players. The US and Canada were missing some of their best players like Connor McDavid and Austin Matthews. There is recent news of a potential 4-team tournament to be held in 2025 with Canada, US, Finland, and Sweden, but it will only include NHL players. This tournament has not been finalized as of yet because apparently holding a hockey tournament with the world's best players is the most complicated thing to do in the entire world. And by the way, this tournament will be okay, but only 4 teams and no representation allowed from anyone outside the NHL. I hardly think this is good enough. This definitely will not be as interesting and engaging as watching the Winter Olympics with NHL players. There's absolutely no good excuse for this, but I'll show the NHL Commissioner Gary Bettman on an episode of the Pat McAfee Show try to make excuses for this in a second. But the idea that putting on this hockey tournament is so confusing is so ridiculous. There are far more confusing and complicated things that happen every single day in the world. Not to mention, the World Juniors are putting on their tournament right now and it's going fine. In my view, there's clearly a lot of incompetence happening in hockey leadership for this to happen. And I think that fans should be putting more pressure on them and asking more questions about why this hasn't happened. McDavid has spoken publicly about this, saying that it's what hockey has been missing for the past decade. But frankly, even if they get their act together soon, so much hockey history has already been lost because of this incompetence. It is doubtful we will ever see a Team Canada that is prime Connor McDavid and prime Sidney Crosby playing together. Maybe we will see them together in 2025 if this even happens, but Crosby will be 37 then. This is such an unforced error, and like I said, frankly, I think more people should be asking questions. What the heck is happening? How can't the NHL, the NHLPA, the IIHF, whoever has to get together, how can't you get in a room and figure this out? I'll play a clip here now from Gary Bettman on a recent episode of the Pat McAfee Show where the topic of NHL competing at the Olympics comes up.
But we try to have relations with the federations that govern hockey throughout the world. We have a very strong relationship with the International Ice Hockey Federation, and we're trying to work together with the IIHF to get our players back into the Olympics, because in addition to everything else that our players do that's important, they love representing their countries and they love international best on best, and we're going to try and make arrangements for Milano Cortina to get our players back into the Olympics. It's a logistic nightmare. It takes place in the middle of our season. It's very expensive, but it's something that we're working on because it's important to our players.
It's right in the middle of our season. It's very important for the game of hockey too. A lot of people watching that maybe don't watch the NHL because they're watching Team USA or their own country. But also, if this guy gets hurt, like in the International Baseball Series, where old Buddy blew his thing, that kind of affects her. But yes, we are trying to make it happen because.
By the way, I pointed out that way. And you're right the way you were sort of parroting me, but the fact is, it's hard.
No, because hey, Gary, hold on.
We were supposed to go to the last Winter Olympics, and then COVID got in the way because we had to reschedule 150 some odd games, and we couldn't take the Olympic break. But the fact is, we do want to go. Because first and foremost, it is important to the players. Listen, we don't make any money by going to the Olympics, and that's not the be-all and end-all. But the fact is, in the middle of the season, you don't see the other leagues willingly taking that on because it changes the momentum of the season. And because of the composition of our teams, our NHL teams, some teams may send 1 or 2 players to the Olympics. Some may send 9 or 10. Coming back from a 2.5-week break halfway around the world means whatever conditions the teams were in, the NHL teams before the break, some are coming back well rested and some are coming back pretty tired. And that's something that impacts the season. Having said that, if we can make it happen with the IOC and the appropriate arrangements are made, we're going to go.
Gary.
So first off, Gary Bettman here is talking like this is a new problem. This has been a reality for years. Everyone knows when the Olympics is, and I doubt the Olympics is going to change when the Winter Olympics are held, which is going to be sometime in the middle of winter when it's hockey season. This is my opinion here, and you can let me know your thoughts in the comments if you disagree. But I think the NHL should participate in the Winter Olympics every time, even though it's in the middle of their season. If you're an NHL owner or a fan or in management or whatever, a player, the expectation that your season is going to be disrupted in some way every 4 years because of the Winter Olympics should just be baked into the cake of NHL. NHL players at the Olympics means a lot to hockey and the history of hockey. Profits are not the only reason hockey exists, and this is evidenced by the fact that every NHL team's goal is literally to win a Stanley Cup. It's not to maximize profits. So if you're an NHL owner or you work for the NHL and all you care about is the money, perhaps you should just work on Wall Street. And secondly, if this is such an impossible barrier to overcome, the fact that the Olympics happens in the middle of the hockey season, and again, it's not in my opinion at least, then organize a meaningful World Cup of hockey that you commit to having every 4 years, with at least 8 of the top countries in the world participating, not this 4-team kind of mini tournament they're floating around as an idea in 2025, and obviously have no restrictions based on the league that you play in. So NHL players can play, plus players from around the world who don't play in the NHL. Again, this is really not that complicated. And even if it is a little bit complicated to figure this out with the different IOC perhaps, or the IIHF, NHL, NHLPA, it should not take 10 years to figure this out. It's not acceptable in my view, and the NHL has gotten away with this for far too long with really not that much pushback from fans and the media. I do think the fact that there will never be a tournament with prime Crosby and prime McDavid on the same team will be seen as one of the greatest missed opportunities in hockey history. So moving forward, whether it be with the World Cup of Hockey or the Olympics, which I prefer, leadership at the NHL, NHLPA, IIHF, whoever else needs to be there, have to get into a boardroom and figure this out. And an actual full best-on-best tournament, not this 4-country tournament kind of rush job they're trying to get out there for 2025. So those are my thoughts on this. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and have a good day.